So, this is the argument paper. This is the last thing we're going to be doing to finish our unit on serial podcast. And what I want you to do is write a 2-page paper arguing that Adnan is guilty or innocent of murdering his ex-girlfriend Hae-Min Lee. Your paper should have 6 pieces of evidence from at least 6 different episodes. So there were 12 episodes total. You're going to pick 6 of them and find a piece of evidence from each one of those. So this is all information you already have. You've already been compiling evidence. You already have an opinion on whether he's guilty or innocent. So this is almost like a reflection of all that evidence you've compiled over this time. So how to write this out into a paper? Well, you already argued what you think and gave your evidence in our live debate. So to cite your evidence, you can do one of these 3 things. You can cite a direct quote from the podcast using a timestamp. So by timestamp, I mean the minutes and seconds, how far it is into the episode. So for example, in episode 1, The Alibi, title of the episode in quotes, Rabia describes Adnan, he was like the community's golden child. And then in brackets, so you use the square ones and not the round ones, 10:15. The time goes in the brackets. So Rabia says this 10 minutes and 15 seconds into episode 1. So that's one way you can do it. Another way, if you don't want to go back and find this exact timestamp, you can paraphrase the quote with the episode number. So in episode 1, The Alibi, Rabia speaks highly of Adnan and explains that he was well respected in the community. Well, you see how I am just putting this quote into my own words and then not giving a timestamp. Oh, I do give the title of the episode and the number. You can either give the direct quote with the timestamp, or you can paraphrase what was said with the episode number and name. The third thing you can do is cite the direct quote using the transcript page numbers. In episode 1, The Alibi, Rabia says he was like the community's golden child. And this is on page 6 of the transcript. So I just put a 6 in brackets here, or in parentheses, sorry. So on this announcement, I will give you the link to the transcript, and that reads just like a book. It says, we looked at the one transcript of some episodes in class. But you can just, if you prefer not to go back and re-listen to all the episodes, you can just read through this whole transcript and find what you need, and then just use the page number here. But it's up to you. Lots of ways to do it. And having 6 pieces of evidence sounds like a lot, but like I said, you already compiled all this evidence. You're just going back, rereading your objective summaries, looking at the evidence you pulled out of each episode, and kind of reflecting on it in this 2-page paper. So this is kind of what I think it should look like. Well, your paper needs to be Times New Roman 12-point font, double spaced, and then in this order, in the left-hand corner, your name, my name, the class name, and the date in the top left-hand corner. Your cool title should be centered and not bold and not underlined. And this was just an outline to kind of help you organize your paper. Well, paragraph 1 is going to be your introduction. The first sentence is going to be your attention getter. After that, you're going to have 2 to 4 sentences that are going to explain the context of this whole case with some background information. And then the last sentence of your paragraph 1, your introduction, is going to end with your claim. And your claim is going to be Adnan is guilty or Adnan is not guilty. Because remember, a claim is a concise statement that does not contain examples or evidence. Paragraph 2. This is going to be on whatever episode number you want to talk about first. So maybe you want to talk about episode 1 first. The first sentence of this paragraph is going to be the main point of this episode. So that's going to be your first sentence, explaining what the point of including this episode is. Then you're going to have 2 to 4 sentences explaining what evidence was presented in this episode that you want to bring up, and then a 2 to 4 sentence explanation or your reasoning explaining why that evidence shows that Adnan is guilty or innocent. Paragraph 3. Maybe in this one you want to talk about episode number 4. Follow the same formula here. First sentence, main point of the episode. Then 2 to 4 sentences explaining the evidence that was presented. Then 2 to 4 sentences explain the reasoning or why this evidence proves your claim to be true. So you can skip around, you can go in order, but I recommend with each new paragraph, you're covering a different episode. Or you can discuss several episodes in the same paragraph. That's up to you. But those are 2 ways you can organize your paper. Episode by episode, or maybe main point by main point. So maybe this will be episodes 2 and 3 explaining that Jay doesn't keep his story straight. So you explain all that evidence from these 2 episodes. That makes sense? You can organize it however you want. Just make sure it's in a logical way. You can skip around. And then you're going to end with a conclusion that summarizes all your main points. And number 2, you're going to leave the reader with something interesting to think about in the end. So your conclusion should probably be about 3 to 6 sentences or 4 to 8, depending. Then I have a little rubric here. Just with everything I just explained in my little outline, introduction and claim. You're going to provide context and background, explain the main points of the paper, and have a claim that does not contain examples or evidence. So again, just one clear, concise statement. He's guilty, he's not guilty. Body paragraphs should be logically ordered in some kind of way. Evidence and reasoning in each body paragraph. And that is at least 6 relevant pieces of evidence from 6 different episodes. And again, with the formatting, Times New Roman 12-point font, appropriate titles, no grammar or spelling errors. This is going to be out of 30 summative points. Like I said, I expect this to be relatively easy because you already gathered all this evidence. You're just going to write it out for me in a 2-page paper. And that's all I have for you this week. All right.